Good afternoon, everyone. It's Sharon here from Climate Action North, and I am thrilled to welcome our guest today, which is Sarah Blaine, who is the co-founder and CEO of Mahouts Elephant Foundation. Something very, very close to our heart because we, as Climate Action North, sponsor one of Sarah's elephants. Sarah, welcome. Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you, Sharon?
I'm very well, thank you. Very busy, but very good. It's all
Oh,
good.
that's good.
Yeah, so how are you? I mean, what time is it where you are today? Are you in the UK or are you back in
I'm in the
Thailand?
UK at the moment. I came back with my daughter in March, and we've been sort of stuck here ever since, really. So just trying to coordinate the team in Thailand from a long way away. I'd normally be there. So it's been, for everybody, it's been a difficult time, really. And my husband, we normally live in Qatar in the Middle East. So I go from between Qatar and Thailand, but we've been struggling to get back there as well, so that'll change in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, I'm taking my daughter back. So yeah, testing times, and obviously we have no guests at the project right now, so that's been difficult as well.
So everything's on hold, really, isn't it, Sarah? Like,
Mm.
yeah, it's been quite a difficult time. But have you got any sort of the team? I suppose your team of volunteers, are they still out there? Have you still got the Mahouts and people that you're working with anyway? Are they still there?
Yeah, we have over the years, I mean, we've been doing this for about 10 years now, and over the years we've built up a really highly skilled team around us. So that's people that the charity actually employees on the ground. So we have a lot of people out there. We've got our core team that help me with everything, so coordination and working on promotion, marketing, or looking after our guests. We have a full team doing that, and of course we have the Mahouts out there who actually daily look after the elephants. And as we work with a whole community, a Karen community, we've got, you know, that whole community depending on us and our work as well. So yeah, there's a full kind of team in operation out there. Obviously, there's no guests, so things have scaled back, but we are doing lots of other things to make good use of this time, sort of furthering the project and really empowering people over there to take things forward.
I think that's really good because I think we've done quite a lot of sort of development work, I suppose. Being in the pause, sort of the whole world has paused. It's kind of given us a chance to step back a little bit and plan for a lot of things that we maybe didn't have time to do before. So it's really good that you're able to do that, and you've got those people on the ground over on the project to keep everything going. And I suppose the elephants won't know any different, will they? Because it's just the normal, it'll be day-to-day stuff for them anyway. They're just doing what they do as nature does, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the idea of our project, which we'll talk more about, is that the elephants live in thousands of acres of forested habitat. So the aim is for us to prevent them from leaving that habitat in the first place, or return them back there to live as naturally as possible. So you know, our guest program is completely non-interactive. People don't touch, they don't go near the elephants. They just come out and observe them living naturally from a very safe and respectful distance. And the elephants are very used to having people out there watching them and cameras going off around them, you know, but it's always from that distance that we don't really interfere with them or their lives. That's really the aim of everything, is for them to live as naturally as possible. So yeah, they're completely blissfully unaware of what's going on and living really, you know, quite deep in the forest now, because they can just roam around and yeah, don't have people following them around anymore with cameras.
Oh, I just think that's amazing. And I mean, I think one of the things that we're doing this talk for as well, I mean, it's always lovely to speak to you. It's been a while since we spoke, so I'm absolutely thrilled to speak to you. But we are doing this for World Elephant Day as well, which is, you know, a really special day for elephants all over the world. But it's really important that we showcase the really good work that you're doing at Mahouts as well. So do you want to sort of give us a little bit of a presentation, if you like, and some slides?
Yeah, sure.
That you'd like to.
Yeah, so let me I've just put a few images together. Okay, can you see that okay?
Yeah, that's beautiful, thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so we're Mahouts Elephant Foundation, and we're founded by my husband and myself. we started, we have two children as well who are 20 and 17 now, but we started when my daughter was 6. And we went to Thailand to do a volunteer project with elephants, and ended up in a working tourist camp where the elephants were giving rides. And the project was aiming to help them, but really wasn't really addressing any of the problems facing them, and we felt wasn't really helping them enough. And there are a lot of organizations around that really, you know, have a strong voice for the elephants, but because they're captive elephants, that means that they're always surrounded by people, they're owned by people, and we can't really, you know, we're not ever going to change that history, but what we can do is make life better for the people and the elephants. And we very much sort of wanted to take a holistic approach to this, which we've kind of really developed over a period of 10 years, doing lots of research and looking into the complexities of the situation, which it is very, very complex. So, you know, we decided very much to not be shouting at anybody, not telling people what to do. Obviously, you know, we're coming in and it's not our culture, it's not our country. So the model really and the ethos is very much to work with people, with communities, to help them to find a better life for their elephants. And it, you know, they want to do that. They want their elephants living the best life possible in the forest. They don't want to take them to the cities where they know they have a terrible life just to serve tourists. But unless you help people and empower them to do this, it's not possible. You know, they don't have the funds, they don't have access to marketing. So really working together is our ethos and philosophy around the work we do. So as we said, we're a non-profit organisation founded here in the UK, and our project is in northern Thailand. There we go. So our motto has developed over the years, and we very much feel we're founded on patience and peace, and built through a lot of hard work and trust with the people that we work with. And in that photo you can see we're very high up where the project is located, at the top of a mountain. It's very, very beautiful up there, and you can see in rainy season, this photo was taken very recently, and there's cloud forest there, and when it's rainy, we get this really sort of beautiful cloud settling over the mountains. And you can see Yabu is this elephant here, and we brought him back to the forest as a rescue last year, and he was actually donated to us by a group of monks who often save animals, and this was actually the first elephant they'd ever rescued. It's normally cows, buffaloes, horses sometimes, but Yabu was the first elephant, and they chose us for him to come to, believing that this would give him the best life possible. And we've worked so hard to really settle Yabu into forest life. You know, he was working in a tourist camp, chained up and just serving tourists really, and now you can see how much freedom he has and how tiny he looks in this very vast forest with these huge trees around him. And he's a very large elephant, and he's dwarfed by those trees. So, you know, this is the kind of picture we love to see coming out. This was our team caught up with him last week, and he's looking magnificent and beautiful and really thriving in the forest. So we're really dedicated, as I said, to empowering the local communities, helping to create alternative livelihoods through the responsible community-based tourism that we run. And it's really important that every member of the community benefits from this tourism, that it's not just if you're lucky enough to own an elephant, you can make money from it, that, you know, this is a shared experience, so everybody benefits. So we have loads of activities, and the guests have a real cultural immersion. So the ladies will show off their weaving skills, the men do basket making. You can go and sort of help out at the kindergarten, not really directly with the children, but more in activities like they'll have a big game of football, or we can help them with their vegetable garden at the kindergarten. So it's really a sharing of cultures. This village is very remote and really has been struck by poverty for a long, long time. So, you know, they're often left out of kind of modern tourism, villages like this. So it's really important to reach them and enable them to have have these opportunities, you know, within their community. But of course, our responsibility is to do that very ethically. We're very aware of our footprint and how we're doing this, because it's very easy to change a culture and change a community, and we don't want to be doing that. It's really about embracing them, and we work very, very slowly and just take it at the pace that everybody's comfortable with. So the elephants, as we've said, this is a beautiful drone image of the elephants, and you can see the forest that they're living in there. So just to go into the elephants we have, this is Moki Ju. Moki Ju is in her early 40s, and she's our matriarch. She's a very good mother to Moki May and Merla. And she's great. She knows every inch of the forest. She's actually been very lucky and has never left the forest. She's never had to work in tourism. Her owners have really strived to keep her there. And she's very calm, very patient, and yeah, just beautiful to watch her moving through the forest. This is Moki May, her daughter, and she's 3 years old now, and she's very gentle but very adventurous spirit. We have wild elephants living in the area, and Moki May, if she sees a wild bull, will be immediately following them, and any other elephant that passes by she latches onto. So she's not really a mummy's girl. She's very, very spirited, strong-willed, but gentle, you know, around her mahouts, and just has a great zest for life. She has the best ears that we all comment on that stick out, and she's, yeah, very, very beautiful. This is Merla. She's our latest addition. She's Moki Ju's daughter, and she's Moki May's little sister. So she's now just 7 months old, and she was born in the forest, when was that, January time, and I was actually there. It was a bizarre situation because it was the end of the day. We'd been out to see the other elephants, and we just said, oh, should we just pop out and see how Moki Ju's doing? And it was just me and her mahout and one of Noah who works with us, and we looked at her back end, and clearly she was in labor. Now normally it would be a lot slower. I think with Moki May she was in labor for about five hours or something, but she delivered within an hour, so it was very quick. She was on a very steep slope, so we quickly got her up onto flatter ground, and then it all just happened very, very quickly. And Merla, she was very small when she was born, but she's now so strong, and she's out just kind of, you know, living and trekking through the forest every day, and just completely learning how to be an elephant from Mum and her big sister, which is amazing. This is Yabu, who I talked about. So he's our monk elephant, and when we brought him back to the forest, he came on a truck, but he spent 3 days at the temple. So the monks actually wanted to do a big ceremony for him at the temple, and they actually ordained him as a monk. So it's like when in Thailand, when they want to protect trees, they tie orange monk robes around the trees, which means nobody can chop the tree down. And Yabu had an orange robe around his neck until it fell off in the forest. And everybody, he's huge, so the villagers are very kind of timid of him because he's so big. But also everybody's very respectful of him because they know he's a special monk elephant. And the monks, you know, they ring us all the time and want updates about how he's doing. So it's been a remarkable transition for him, and we had no handover on him from his previous owners, so it was a very difficult situation for us because he arrived and we had no history on him at all. So we didn't know if he was aggressive or what his temperament was like. We didn't know, you know, if we released him, if he would just run away, which of course with a big male elephant is very, very dangerous if he goes near people. So we had to take things very carefully, and that, you know, is really all credit to exceptional skill and expertise of our team, and his mahouts have been remarkable with him. And very slowly, and this is over, you know, a 6-month period of just showing him different areas of the forest so he can learn his territory really well. Luckily, his favorite occupation in life is actually eating. So he's obviously completely blessed now being surrounded by his favorite food all of the time. and he doesn't really go far. He just, if he's got food around him, he's quite happy. So he's great, and his temperament is very gentle. He's never been a problem, and yeah, he's brilliant. And he's we were worried because of the wild bulls in the area, of how he'd cope with that. But he's been remarkable. I mean, we've watched the wild bulls near him from a very safe distance. The mahouts up in trees, watching him, and he's been absolutely fine with them. So there's been no issues there. So he's been a big success story for the foundation and the village, which is wonderful. So one of the ways with the elephants that you can help, which we can talk more about at the end, is obviously becoming a monthly sponsor like you are. And that really helps us, because we know it's a regular income. It's just, you know, £15 a month for somebody. We send a sponsor pack out with a picture and a certificate, and then we give quarterly updates on that elephant. So it's a lovely way, and it makes a great gift for people as well. So we run all this through guest experiences, and this is really important for a number of reasons. I mean, obviously it helps the village to have an income. So they host our guests. So we have a dedicated lodge that we've built where people can stay if they want a little bit more comfort, or people can stay with a family in a homestay right in the heart of the village. And the villagers get money for, you know, each night somebody stays with them, whether they're at the lodge or in a homestay. The villagers will still cook meals every day. So that's 3 meals a day that are all paid for. So this is income going directly on a rotational, very fair basis throughout the community. And then we have local guides to take people out to the elephants, and they earn for that. We have people, the ladies showing weaving. So all of these elements build up, and we make sure that it's a really good balance of elephant observation, community immersion, and then relaxation. It's, as you can see, this is the temple at the top of the village, and it's beautiful. You know, we go up there for sunset, watch the sun go down, and look over those beautiful forested mountains. It's also really important for elephant tourism, just to show that this is possible, that, you know, elephants don't have to be in cities, that they don't have to be in the working camps giving rides, that, you know, people will come and watch the elephants living naturally, and people really want that experience now. You know, it's something people really, really look for. So it's also good as a kind of a market disruption in that way, that, you know, people will come and have this sort of alternative way of seeing elephants. So we run a mountain adventure, which is 3 nights and 4 days. And as you can see, this is some guests watching Yabu in the forest, and they're quite high up on the hill away from him. He's down in the valley. And you can just, you know, we take people out. We have a sort of an idea of how often people want to go out with the elephants, but because we cater only for very small groups, and it's often quite an intimate experience, we can really cater for what people want to do most while they're there. We do a volunteering project. Usually this is about 1 week, which people find enough. We also have student groups coming, and they stay for a week. We can tailor make this if people want to do something specific with us and maybe stay a little bit longer. And this makes a real difference. So a difference to the community. So people get their time observing the elephants, but also they can assist with community projects that are going on. So that might be rice harvesting, rice planting, helping the ladies with sort of getting things ready with weaving for market. We have a project called Weaving for Life, which is the ladies make cushion covers and things for us, and then we can sell those on our website or to a market in Thailand. And maybe, you know, there's maintenance needs doing at the school. So as I said before, the veg patch or some painting or something like that needs doing. We're just actually, one of the things from lockdown that we've developed, we had a big conversation as a team, and we've been doing forest bathing for a while now, but one of our team members has actually just taken a diploma in forest bathing. So this is something, along with mindfulness and meditation, which my husband's very interested in doing and actually does for his work. We really want to enhance this. I think we've realized that, you know, as things start to come back, that we don't really want to go back to an old normal. We want to really develop what we're good at, and that's sort of you know, really looking after and protecting the forest so there is a home for these elephants. And by connecting our guests with nature, I think that's a really good opportunity we have now moving forward, and we really want to develop that people just can slow down, come to us and be at one with nature, reconnect, and just really understand why this forest is so important, and that it's good to take time out of life and just slow down and immerse. Fabric weaving we've discussed, and this is one of the ladies showing her skills at fabric weaving, and they make all their own clothes. So they wear their Karen community, so they wear traditional dress, so they make all their own shirts and skirts in these beautiful vivid colours. And they're very happy to sell those to people. So a lot of our guests like to come away with a Karen skirt or a shirt, or, you know, some fabric that they can take home to make cushions with. And we also make cushions as well that we can sell to people. As we said before, it's a cultural immersion. So it's a very rich and unique culture. There's so much to learn. This is one of our elders, and he's playing a traditional musical instrument here, and we quite frequently will have music nights where everybody gets together and the old instruments come out and everybody has a good old sing-song outside around a fire. And they love to learn about where we're from. You know, our guests come from all over the world, and they're always fascinated about what their countries are like. Do we have snow, and all those kind of questions. So it's really encouraged that, you know, this is an exchange of cultures. We're not here just to come and look at them. It's about learning about each other, which is really important. We've actually also spent lockdown by helping the community to enhance their English speaking skills, and that's going super well. We've had 2 teachers who are Karen nationals up there for 2 months, and every evening they're doing English lessons. So we have an elder group, we have Mahouts, we have the children, we have young people, so they're all in different groups for ability and age and things. And it's brilliant. Everybody's super keen to do it. They're always on time for the teachers, and we don't have electricity up there, so we've managed to run a projector off our solar. But it's brilliant. It's been, yeah, absolutely fantastic and going really, really well. So accommodation, this is our guest lodge that we're at the top of the village and we overlook these beautiful mountains, and this is looking over across to Myanmar across the border. And this is just a bit more about our lodge, so you can see how beautiful. The windows are from one of the bedrooms. So it's stunning. I mean, it's very basic with no electricity, but it's a real, you know, back to nature experience. And it's lovely to stay up here, but then all the meals are down in the village, which is like a 2-minute walk, in one of the family's houses, and they'll cook for you. So you still get that immersion into the culture. And some people choose to stay with the homestay family. We also do a lot of groundbreaking research with the elephants, with the forest. The research has been going on, led by Dr. Liv Baker, our professor, and that's been going on for many years now. And it takes a long time to collect data, but we're slowly getting it together now to produce some papers on this. Asian elephants are very under-researched. We tend to pull a lot of the information from African elephants, and we really shouldn't be doing that because they're completely different species. So it's very important that Asian elephants have their own body of research. And you know, frequently it's done in Asian elephants living in very captive situations such as zoos and things. So to have these elephants sort of free roaming like this in a big forest, it's great because we can safely observe them, because often observing wild elephants in forests this large is very dangerous and very difficult to do. So we're picking up some very interesting stuff on their vocalizations. We record all of those, and foraging habits. You know, we want to learn how much these elephants are eating. What are they eating? How many hours a day are they spent eating? You know, we know that wild elephants will forage and eat for 18 hours a day, and ours actually spend obviously a similar amount of time doing that because they have nothing else to do. They're free to do that, whereas you know, working elephants don't always have those choices. So it's good to get this stuff down. And we're actually going to start with, we want to map this forest and find out what other wildlife is there, which is really important to protect it. So we've got a camera survey project, which was due to start this summer, but had to be delayed because of the virus. So we're starting that as soon as we can. And trialing GPS on the elephants as well. So at the moment, the Mahouts are fantastic at tracking them, but we just want to try and use GPS and see what kind of range they're using. And guest reviews, these are all actually on our website, but I think you can probably see here the things that people write about, which is really useful to us because, you know, we want to make sure we're getting this right. It's really important, and we don't get everything right, and sometimes it's trial and error with things, but you know, it's getting the balance of people being comfortable, yet having that really authentic experience, being respectful to the community and getting the most out of that, and also how they see the elephants. And I think, you know, all of our reviews tend to be like this, that it was really a magical and unforgettable experience. And I think what often people come for the elephants, which is great, but I think what surprises them is the connections they build with those villagers. You know, when we're sat out watching the elephants, they're sat with the Mahouts, so they have time to ask questions through translators, and that's great. It's great fun. We have a lot of fun. You know, singing with everybody relaxes everybody, and in a few days people make bonds with the people they're staying with. It's lovely. This is one of the ladies doing traditional rice pounding under the house, and that's another review there. So they felt it was good to be around the elephants for hours on end, observing them from a distance. This is Yabu in the forest. And there's another, you know, review about the volunteering program and being immersed in the community. We do have an online shop. This is my last slide, with lots of goodies. We sell hats, t-shirts, and lots of beautiful elephant products that have been sourced from Thailand. I used to be a designer, so some of these I've helped design with the families in Thailand who create them, and that's all available on the website. So that was all the slides.
You know what? I'm sure you could see me grinning from ear to ear every day, and it was like, oh my goodness, I want a t-shirt, I want a hat, I want a lot. I know, it's absolutely fantastic, Sarah. It's so good to see. I've made loads of notes about stuff, about you know, some questions as well. It's so good to see that integration between, you know, the Mahouts, the families, the current community, and yourselves, and you know, that lodge as well is just, you know, I have to come. It's just I need to get a trip there really, because it must be an absolutely amazing experience. I mean, I know that we do know Jennifer and David Mullen, who are your sort of patrons, I suppose.
They're trustees of the foundation, the UK Foundation, and have done you know, a huge amount of supportive work and fundraising and all kinds of stuff for us. They're just so valuable to the foundation and have visited many times, and you know, that's huge to us because they can speak from the experiences they've had with us, and being with us for many years, they've seen things develop and grow and change, and you know, whatever happens, it's not always easy. I mean, it looks so beautiful and from the pictures, but you know, it's not easy running something like this, and it's great to have solid people like, you know, Jen and David who've always got our back and can offer advice as well. You know, they're business people, they run a business, and it's that advice is really valuable to us.
Yeah, it is really good, and we all do obviously support Jen and Dave over here, and we're going to miss the elephant ball this year, would you imagine?
Yes, I know. It's such a shame.
It's a shame, because I mean, that is always it's a highlight of, you know, of the year, to have everyone together in the same room, all really wanting to make a difference for the elephants over there. I think that one of the questions I had as well was obviously Yabu, I think it was. I remember following on your social media. That was that journey, wasn't it? The truck journey.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have been an incredible challenge, Sarah, to plan that logistically. It must have been an incredible challenge.
It was, yeah, it was huge. I mean, we went to we knew that the temple were looking to rescue an elephant, and we thought they had rescued a female elephant, which is easier. And we actually had to put in a proposal to the temple, which I think many people did, to receive the elephant, because it was a real honor and a very special thing, and was known about all over the north of Thailand. And we didn't really expect to get chosen. I mean, we just, you know, we knew lots of people sort of wanted the opportunity, and we didn't expect to get chosen. And then I received a phone call saying they've chosen us, the temple have chosen us, and we had a week to prepare. I mean, it was crazy. There was no time, because the ceremony, it was in celebration of a monk's birthday, who was 96 years old. So it was a massive occasion, and he's sadly since passed away. So it was there were just hundreds of people at the ceremony. It was the most incredible thing to be a part of, but we had to mobilize very quickly and organize everything, and that's not always easy. When you transport an elephant, you need permission from the livestock department to move them through the different provinces, and we were still, literally the day before, we were still trying to get permits to move him. So it was a bit like, you know, and he had to leave because it was all tied in with the ceremony, and his departure from the temple was very important. So it all had to happen on it, you know, and we actually ended up getting a police escort for the whole journey, which was incredible. Yeah, and he did super well on the truck. He was amazing. And as we climbed up through the mountains, he was sniffing and using his trunk outside of the truck. And then we stopped at the bottom of the mountain and walked. The plan was to walk with him for about 3 days, and we were going to camp along the way. But he just took off and walked so quickly. He was there in a day, so he did it very quickly.
Just incredible, that it is. Can't imagine what that must have felt like. You know, it would have made my heart absolutely burst. I just think it must be so rewarding in life to see something like that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, with Yabu's transition, it was just remarkable when we got back to the village and sort of just watched him settle. And it, you know, it takes time. I mean, he was very he didn't know anybody, you know. His previous owners failed to give us a proper handover. They were meant to come and be with him for a week with us, and that, you know, it would have been easier, but we didn't have that. They just kind of took off and left us to it. So, you know, he was with strangers, he was in a new place with new smells. He could smell the other elephants and wild elephants in the area, and, you know, it takes a while. And it's hard because I'm quite an impatient person. I like things done, and it's kind of, you know, wanting to make the process quicker, but you can't, you know. It has to go at his pace, and it has to go at the village's pace as well, and just to settle him properly. But to see him now and his transition is just, yeah, it's just remarkable, really.
So I suppose in the term of, you know, when we talk about rewilding, because I think we had you talk at our second rewilding event in the northeast, didn't we, about the, you know, you effectively are rewilding with elephants, aren't you? Really, that's what you're doing. And obviously, are you still planting as well? Because I think when we knew you, at the, you know, in the rewilding events, you were actually doing some planting as your reforestation, weren't you?
Yeah, we are. It's not actually an easy thing to do, and there's been a lot of studies come out in the last couple of years for forests like ours, which is a very sort of jungly type forest, that actually, if you have areas of land that have been deforested, it's actually just better to leave it and let it just get on with itself and regrow, which actually we're doing more of now, and that's working really, really well. It's reforesting is complicated. I mean, the species you have to put in and the mix of species, and just allowing, you know, a lot of them to die off, and it's hard going. And where we are, it goes from quite hot to really freezing cold in the winter. I mean, we go down to 2 or 3 degrees up there in the winter, so it's a difficult area. But we have actually, the villagers have got now a designated conservation area of forest, which is around 500 acres. And that's actually, there's a big ceremony for that every year now, and it's actually been blessed, and nobody can touch that. So nobody's allowed to hunt in there. They tend to only hunt small animals, but in there, there's no hunting at all. Everything is protected, and it's looking beautiful. The elephants actually spend quite a lot of time in there, and there's a lot of wildlife now. There's gibbons in that area. We've seen wild dogs in the area, so it's incredible. And this is part of the camera survey to figure out what wildlife is there. We're actually, we had a grant from booking.com last year, and part of that is to build, we're doing glamping platforms out there for our guests, so people will be able to glamp in the trees, which will be remarkable. And then we're going to build walkways along, so we can actually be in that beautiful forest, and you know, people can camp out there safely for the night. Because of the elephants around, we want them to be safe up in the trees, and with walking platforms that people can do bird watching and all of that. So yeah, it's going to be remarkable when we're out. You know, we're still got a lot to do with this project, but it'll be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea of the natural regeneration with the trees and the forest, and just let it do what it needs to do. And then obviously the elephants will probably do quite a bit of grazing and eating and moving stuff around, and you know, they'll be doing their own you know, version, I suppose, of rewilding stuff. And I like the idea as well that you have this ecotourism effect, rather than, you know, people sort of, it's minimal intervention, isn't it, from you, which is really good. I like that, because it's about, we're in their world at the end of the day, aren't we? So I think it's very important. Yeah, it's really good. And I also like the idea that you've got the volunteers, because that was one of my questions, was that, you know, you obviously rely quite heavily on volunteers. So do you have quite an influx of volunteers throughout any one year? Do you have sort of like a regular?
Yeah, I mean, what we try to do is to just, I mean, obviously we have a target for the year of kind of what we need to support the elephants, really. And what the idea of these projects is that each one will become self-sustaining, so it's covering the costs, really. That's the point of it, and that's all ploughed back into the community. So we obviously, that's our footprint, is that we don't want to overload a community with continual guests, so that's not the idea, really. What we tend to do is our summer period, which is kind of English summer, which is actually rainy season over there. We're usually quite busy, because we do a month-long study abroad program for university students, and we tend to have around 8 to 10 of those with us for a whole month, and they're doing their own projects, but they also link in with our research very much. So that's a fantastic opportunity, and that's for people that maybe want a career in conservation or veterinary work or anything like that they're interested in. They come and join us. So that, you know, and that's a paid for field course. And then we have international school groups that come as well during that summer period. And then guest trips we run throughout the whole year, and high season in Thailand is over the winter period, which is November, December time. So that's typically a high, and that's dry season. So that's a high season for guests. So we like to have breaks between, to give the community, the forest, the elephants a break from having people out there all the time. And there are sort of natural breaks the way we run it. We tend to only ever, if it's guests, we only ever have a maximum of 6 to 8 people at one time. Usually, oftentimes it's kind of, it can be a couple on their own or just 4 people there. So it's never very large groups, so that we're not a dominant force there. You know, we're always quite an intimate small group. And volunteers, we try to match people up with dates, and then we can have a week of people coming, and we'll get a nice group of sort of 6 together, and they can then do some community projects and watching the elephants as well out there. So yeah, it varies throughout the year, but the idea is, I mean, if we've had a study abroad there for a month and some school groups at that time, we would probably then take some time away and just leave the community to it, to have a bit of a break from everybody.
Well, you need a break too, though, don't you? I mean,
it's hard work. It is hard. It's full on. I mean, the team are incredible, because, you know, if we have a school group there, you know, that can be 15-year-olds, and it's a new environment for them, and it's full on for everybody. We work very long hours when those people are there. Everybody does in the community, so it's full on. But it's, you know, it's great, and we want this exposed to lots of people, you know, who come from all walks of life. It's wonderful. Then they can spread the message of how wonderful it is to see elephants living like this, and what a beautiful community it is.
Yeah, and the other thing, I mean, forest bathing, Sarah, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
forest bathing in mindfulness, I mean, it's perfect, isn't it? To
yeah,
link that with, you know, Yabu, the monk elephant, and being in that environment. It's an incredible extra offer that you're offering, really, isn't it? And I mean, that's great, because you weren't doing that before. When I was looking through, when we were working together,
no,
fairly new, but I mean, my goodness, what a forest.
yeah, it's incredible. It's actually something we started last year with the school groups, because getting a group of 15-year-olds to actually really, you know, stop talking and just we needed them to come down a bit before they went near the elephants, because obviously a lot of chatter and excitedness is not good to have around the elephants. So we started it then actually by just making them sit in silent for 5 minutes, and just near a stream or in a beautiful glade, or, you know, and just really absorb about what they're feeling, what they're taking in, and then you know, we'd all talk about it afterwards, what they'd heard, what they'd seen, and just really stopping and just being present in that forest in the moment. And I think we talked about it as a team, and I think through all of the COVID crisis, and, you know, people in England have talked about hearing the birds again and all of that kind of stuff. And we know how important this is. My husband actually works in addiction with people, and part of his work is doing a lot of mindfulness exercises with people, and making people more mindful and understanding about themselves. And, you know, I think if you can do that in nature and connect them in the forest, you know, with elephants around, and it's just beautiful. I mean, it's a real opportunity. So yeah, we're really training everybody up now in that, with new skills. And you know, whatever we do, we always want to do very well and be the best at. So I think it's really important we're not doing this in a half-soaked manner, that we're really sort of taking it seriously and learning as much as we can to then offer that to our guests coming.
Brilliant. So for World Elephant Day then, Sarah, I mean, you know, obviously we are gonna direct everybody that listens to this and watches this to your shop and to the Mahouts Foundation. Find out about the elephants, you know, find out how to sponsor like we do. We love our sponsorship. We just, you know, think it's absolutely brilliant, and it makes us feel so happy getting those updates from you about, you know, the elephants that we sponsor. And we're looking to do more with you, obviously, because we really do believe it's a fantastic organisation. So for World Elephant Day, what would be your sort of ask, I suppose, you know, your call to action? What could we do?
I think at this time, obviously, we've got no guests, so we're trying to fill those gaps, really. So on the website, people have the opportunity, if they want to donate to us. There's plenty of opportunities. There's an actual donate tab on there. Sponsoring an elephant is amazing, because, you know, whoever does that, they get something back as well, and it kind of builds a relationship with us, their elephant. And, you know, it's a great way. Often people will just keep renewing that year on year, really, because they just want those updates and want to keep connected in that way. The shop is fantastic. There's loads of items on there. We do a calendar every year, so it's good to look out for that later in the year, but for now, purchasing a mug from us, or a hat, a foundation hat, and t-shirts, that, you know, that really helps us to spread the word as well, because if you're wearing a hat with a logo on, people will ask you, oh, what's that? I like elephants. And just spreading the word, really. I mean, talk about elephants. You know, the 12th is a World Elephant Day, is a great opportunity to just talk about elephants. You know, everybody's on social media, so do a post about elephants. Say, I listened to this, maybe, and share our story. Do a little post about it. That's a great way to help to spread the word. There's so many elephant organizations out there. You know, there's so much news and interesting stuff coming out about elephants all the time. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, hard stories to read about the problems they're facing, Asian and African elephants, of course, but there's a lot of, you know, lovely stories as well, and people doing great work. So, you know, look up, find an elephant story and share it on World Elephant Day. That would be great for the elephants.
Perfect. I like that. We'll definitely be doing that. So Sarah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for speaking to us on World Elephant Day, and we'll be keeping in touch definitely to see how we can help you. And yeah, it's just fantastic. Thank you so much. Good luck with your work.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me, Sharon.